Part 13, Ignorance and Hard Luck. People are ignorant. Yep. So, I don't mean that in a disparaging manner. I don't mean that we're all not ignorant in something, or aloof, or in their own world, or whatever you want to call it. But, you have to learn that some people are that way, and no matter how much you try to argue or convince them about what's right or wrong, or they'll spew whatever they spew. You just are better off in life if you learn to identify when people are being ignorant, because they're not ignorant all the time, But if you can classify in your mind and learn to identify when you're talking about an ignorant subject or an ignorant position or an ignorant whatever, or it just doesn't agree, and it's not always that they're wrong, it's just that, this is what they believe, right? So it's better just to learn those and recognize that for your own sanity. And what I really mean here is that, people will say stuff and, you should invest in this or invest in that, or I did this or I did that. I'm going to try to keep it to the financial sector or finances or taxes, or whatever about that. They're just spewing stuff. Either they're nervous at a party, or who knows what comes out of your mouth, who knows what comes out of their mouth. But I mean, you see it all the time. I wouldn't earn more money because they're going to bump up your tax bracket. And if they bump your tax bracket, you're actually going to lose more money because it's going to be a higher tax bracket. Well, that's not the way life works. That's not the way the taxes work, right? It's like, well, if I make more money, I just get taxed at a higher rate on that extra dollar that I made. I'm not going to turn around and, it's the same thing. If I earned another dollar, just excuses for what it is. And you see this, it doesn't have to be that example. Just that's what I kind of mean by ignorant statements that just society does not agree with, and if you do some research, they're just not true. So I've reached the last slide in the series, and I don't know if I'll continue this on with a part 14, part 15. I have to come up with some other topics. But in the end, this is the compassionate part, right? That you and people can just flat out have hard luck. I said before, you got to work hard and you got to get lucky. In most cases, to be wildly successful, you can be moderately successful with just hard work. But some people just have hard luck. And if you can identify a hard luck situation versus a not hard luck, and this goes back to your ignorance, I guess, at a certain point, as you develop as an individual in life, that hard luck really does happen. Hurricane Andrew blows in and it knocks down 8 houses on the block and 2 houses don't get knocked. What's the odds, right? Well, the 2 people who still have a house, good for them. The 8 people whose house got, it's random. Life is random, right? And it's not that, someone built to a higher code. Hey, I bought at the end of the cul-de-sac because I knew that hurricane was going to come and knock, the random tornado, right? Some things are tornadoes. Some things are floods. I live in a flood zone. If a flood ever comes, well, okay. My house gets wiped out and someone in Missouri, right? I'm saying the same thing about the people in Missouri, right? That are getting flooded out in the river and rebuild at the same place and get flooded out again. I've never been flooded. My house has never been flooded since 1967, right? I haven't lived there all those years, but I just know that, right? Could it get flooded next year? Sure. Would you call that hard luck? Well, statistically, sure. Maybe it was supposed to happen every 100 years, and the house has been around for 100 years. So, and it's the same type of thing. It's a fine line between they could have prepared for this and, man, that's bad luck. So try to lean, try to realize that some things were just not completely foreseeable, right? You getting hit, car accidents. Yeah, car accidents statistically happen. Does that mean that, you're going through a hard time because you got rear-ended and you had to pay all these medical bills out of pocket because the other person who rear-ended you didn't have any insurance. You were just sitting at a stoplight. Even the person who's been rear-ended 4 times, I start to look at it and go, well, there's something a little bit weird with your driving. But if if you're just, it is what it is, right? You can always be cynical about this type of stuff. But it's not a black and white world. And, there's lots of gray out there. and realize that a lot of people are in a bad situation at some point in time that wasn't all their undoing. You know, if you took out an arm and that arm, you know, the housing market imploded on you, and now you've got balloon payments and you lost your house, I don't really put that as hard luck, you know. But some people might say, hey, they were duped, right? They were stupid and they were duped by the people, and everybody was doing it, right? You're living in these, you know. By the way, if you're, you know, you bought a $500,000 house and your monthly payment is $1,500 because of the arm, you should have been able to look at it and say, a $500,000 house, that would have been a $2,500 conventional payment. Something ain't right, right? You know, so I don't, you know, I mean, you always got to play a little fine line here, but I'm just saying that some people really have medical problems. He got cancer, he didn't. You know, he had a car accident, he didn't. It wasn't covered. House fell on your yard and you had to pay all this. Your kid, you know, didn't make it, somebody else's did, whatever. I mean, there's all kinds of hard luck. Realize that people have hard luck, right? And, you know, take that into account when you try to evaluate whether people are ignorant or not ignorant. And if you're able to identify those situations where there's hard luck, and then you get to be a better person overall in categorizing finance versus not finance, and things become clearer to you. So it's the skill of learning that. It's the skill of learning when people are just being ignorant, and it's the skill of learning when people have just had luck, had hard luck, you know, bad luck, whatever you want to call it. That you know, those are skills that you can work on, and I think the better you get at that, the better person. I'm not praising that you're the saint of all patrons or something like that. It's just that this is stuff that helps you financially as you make decisions in life, and get you thinking about stuff like that. So this is the end of my series right now. If you're stuck in here this long, good for you, because like I said, this is terrible advice to give teenagers that I never got, that they never got, and that I'm sure I can build out this series a little bit. But thanks for listening, I guess, and for letting me vent my YouTube stuff. See ya.